Good afternoon, everybody. Let's eat it out of the word in Esther chapter 2. God has allowed us to get to the month of June, having started last year in January as in Genesis, and we've traveled all the way one whole year and a half with one chapter a day. And this is from Esther chapter 2. Oh, this book is better than any Oscar, anybody. This book is just so good. The story is so good. This word is so good. The details of God are so awesome. Father, we thank you today for your word, for you are alive, and you are everything that you said you are. And if I said and more, that's because what you are is already more for me compared to what I thought. I am like Sheba, half has not been told. This word is for every educator. Lord, I pray for educators, people that know how to teach, would take this book and examine it and say whether or not it ought to be on the shelf. Should it be in a library? Should it be in the hand of any man? And before they do that, make them examine it, show them how to examine it. And I declare they will fall on their face and on their knees and cry out to you, saying, my God, you are good. And if anybody did not say that, that's because they didn't read it. And if they didn't read it, they don't know you. Because what you say and what people say is two different things. Getting to know you is, in my own eyes, contacting your word. And I said, oop, I didn't know. I'm glad I know now this book is addictive because your behavior is, I want it rubbed off on me. And thank you for all of the people that are getting in your word that's helping all over YouTube. Some people in trying to get a word on TikTok. Thank you for that. They are reading this word, and I'm excited that I picked this book up and I decided I'm going to take my time and read it, and I cannot put it down because it's just that good. And thank you for thank you for Esther chapter 2. And let's see what you had to say to us, and forgive us of our sins, Lord. And if I did not say how good and how mighty you are, that's because I got to learn how to do it in a way where I come in praising you and thanking you for allowing me to see what I see about you. In Jesus' name I pray, amen. Lord, help me to forgive me of my sins and help me to forgive those who sinned against me. All right, I am in Esther chapter 2. 1.5 years. We've come from Genesis, and now we are in our second month, half of the year. We are in the book of Esther. And God has allowed me every single day to get in. I never had to call, and I pray. So far, I have not called in sick, and I pray I don't. And I don't take that lightly. And I want to breathe just to get in this book, just to see. I don't know. I am serious. I have no idea. I can fully say what I know, and what I don't know, I can declare. I don't know. I have no idea. I know about Esther because I read it before, but not the way I'm reading it now. I'm reading it with every detail, every crumb. I'm trying to find everything about this word. And here I am in a book that is so awesome. All right, yesterday, and every chapter hinges on the next chapter. Esther is, from what I've been told by a teacher that knows more than I do, that Esther is the last historical book that would tell us anything about things concerning the history of what happened concerning Judah after it came back from exile. Now, if I'm wrong, I'll say that. But what I do know is that we have walked into a book. And yesterday, God is showing us what it's like as being a king of an ungodly king. Got mad at his wife. He got really, really, really drunk. And he wanted his wife to come back and say, he wanted to expose his wife's beauty. And so being that drunk, and she was having a party, and perhaps she was drunk too. I don't know. The word didn't say that. But what we do know, the word said he was merry. And when he got to a point, and the Jewish people said in their neighborhood, they said they had a bet going on, like who had the prettiest wife, and he said, I did. So he said, well, I'm going to show y'all how beautiful my wife is. She's going to come and let y'all see her. She's so pretty. However it is, the way he said it. But anyway, she refused, did not come. And he evicted her from being queen by the advice of his advisors. He said, I like that idea, put out. And so he said, and the guys that gave him advice said the reason why we want her out is because what this mess she started with you, if they think she can get away with it, our wives, and we're not having that. And that could have been from this guy who was already having a problem with his wife. He was the one that made the suggestion. What his name was? He's the man. Mimunkin. He was the one that had the mouth to tell the king, yeah, make this law. All our wives straighten these women out. And the king said, I like the sound of that. Now, let's go back over this king now. Number one, you don't work for a living. This king, Ahasuerus, or Xerxes, they say he has two names. Ahasuerus, we don't work for you king. You tell people what to do. You take their money from the government by taxes, and you have a party in life. You get mad, you make decisions. Then you got all these people around you who want something from you, like a calf from a cow, pulling on you every day, trying to be your friend only because they want you to drop something in their mouth. You are taking money from these people, throwing parties, getting drunk, all off government official taxes. This is what God is showing us in chapter 1. Then when your wife decides to be, either looked at you and said, I'm not finna, she probably saw you so drunk before until she knew you. Then she said, I'm not finna put up with this. And even if I know that he gonna try to kick me out, probably, she said, well, go for it. I don't know what she said, but anyway, she didn't show up and she didn't tell us what she said. But one thing we know, that this king was getting money, and then you enslave people, and they call you king. You put things in law, and the people said, I'm scared. So you got this guy named Amukin who says, get her out because she is going to tell our wives what to do, and they're going to become just like her. But my problem is, what about you? You got her under the law that you just created. And you said it's going to be for every man to rule his house. That means that a man can get drunk. And so drunk and tell you to do anything. And if you don't do it, he said, then I got the law on you. Kick you out. That's not what God said. That's why before the living God created man, he said, let me put the birds in the air and the fish in the sea. He said, all I want y'all to do is come in and have dominion. And then I'm going to give you some help. And then replenish the earth. And follow my guidelines. That's what God did. He didn't change the rule. God is like a good game. He's like, I don't change that. What I look like in the middle of the baseball game saying, let me change the rules like this man did. I don't like the way you land on third base. I'm going to change the rule. That's what the world does, and God wants us to see that God is nowhere instructing this man. And let's see, can we find what we got to find in chapter 2? Because people think, oh, I get you under control. How you going to get somebody else under control if you out of control? Because I'm king, but you're not the king of kings. And let's see what happened. Because when I looked at this thing going, like, this guy is collecting money and calling parties and inviting people to the party that they paid for. But he said, I'm the one that's get the honor. And it's from me. Because I decided that I'm going to spend your money and let you have some wine. Those people that I invited to my palace. And I brought some people, and it took me 6 months to show them all the money I stole from you to show them my palace. 6 months. Ahasuerus said, I need 6 months to show you all this stuff. And then he took 1 week and he drank every day. And then he got so drunk he wanted his wife to come. She said no. And then he said, go. After I got my advice from people low down than me. More lower than me. All right, that's the world system. And if we do it like the world, guess what system we operate in? Chapter 1 Esther. If we do anything, make rules as we go. Now, I know some things that we learn and we grow in grace and in what the knowledge, then we modify it, but we have no business being like a kid gonna kick stuff down and then I had to make a rule to make you worse than because I'm mad. All right, that's what happened in chapter 1. Let's go into chapter 2. After these things, after what things? After chapter 1 and 4 years later. And when I will prove to you that it's 4 years later. Because remember this verse right here, it says in the 3rd year. That's chapter 1 verse 3 said in the 3rd year of his reign he made a feast. So that's why you need chapter 2. You can't read this word jumping in the middle of the book. If you do, you're going to stand before God. You touching this Ark of the Covenant the wrong way. You're going to be just like, we will be just like what that boy named Uzzah. You can't touch this book in a kind of way. It's too dangerous. And it's too easy. That's why it's so complicated. That's why we got all these different beliefs. Because you can open up this page and you believe what you want to. But anyway, chapter 1 said, in the 3rd year of his reign. And so chapter 2 going to talk about what year he is now going on. So you need chapter 1 to tell you chapter 2. After these things, when the wrath of King Ahasuerus was appeased, now he did more than just be mad. If this man stayed mad for 4 years over this woman, he must really like that woman. That ain't what happened though. After these things, I don't know, some people take 30, 40, 50, 60 years, can't get over somebody. So 4 years may not be nothing. But that's not all that happened. There was a war that he fought into, and you go into your history books that you let the kids read that much in the school system. They read that little bit, but they hook it back up in the word. And then see what happened with the guy in his personal life. After these things, after chapter 1, and we get into chapter 2, 4 years later, when the wrath of King Ahasuerus was appeased, in other words, I done got over it. I still drank though. He remembered Vashti, his wife, and what she had done, didn't show up at his party in his drunken stoop. And what was decreed against her, we put her out. I still smell her cologne. Vashti ain't said nothing. She said bye. Anyway, then said the king's servants that ministered unto him, you ministered to a man. This is what they said to him that they ministered to, means served. Let there be fair young virgins sought for the king. Ain't nowhere near God's plan that he told Moses. Go get you a pretty young thing. Then said the king's servant that ministered unto him, let us find you a pretty young thing. Now, let there be fair young virgins sought for the king. Get you somebody young and a virgin. And let the king appoint officers. Go get you some police. Get you some big time folk. In all the provinces, you got 27 territories that you've been to go all up in India and all up in Africa. Let there be fair young virgins sought for the king. And let the king appoint officers in all his provinces of his kingdom that they may gather together all the fair young virgins. He said he reigned from India even unto Ethiopia. And he had 127 provinces, territories that he ruled. That's a lot of land. He said, go get you some of them pretty girls. They got to be a virgin. You ain't going to find many. That they may gather together all their fair young virgins. You got to be pretty, and you got to be a virgin. And that's going like getting ready to have a pageant. I wonder how many girls could really qualify to be in a pageant that they say your qualification must be a virgin. Because the king looking for a wife. He said, I don't want nobody else than on you. He said, fair virgins unto Shushan, and bring them to Shushan. Wait a second. That they may gather together all the fair virgins unto Shushan. That's the name of his palace. The palace, to the house of the women. He got a women house in the palace. The house of the women unto the custody of Higi, the king's chamberlain, keeper of the women. So he already got women in, I don't want to say a cage, but in the house, in the palace. So a lot of women don't mind saying, I got a name, I got a reputation. I live in the king's house. I'm going to tell you about that. We're going to read this thing carefully. To the house of the women unto the custody of Higi, the king's chamberlain, keeper of the women, and let their things for purification be given them. So they had to be purified. You say you're a virgin, they're going to purify you 12 months. You ain't had no baby in 12 months, you're a virgin. They said he found 400 women. That's not a lot. You go to high school and get 400 women. Because they had to be cute, they had to be pretty, and they had to be untouched. Highly unlikely today. All right, so the king said, y'all got to go to work. So he hired officers to go find me some virgins. I wonder how they found them. They must have to go to the middle school, elementary school. They had to go young. Anyway, they went, because you might find some virgin that's not pretty. Because a lot of girls think that I'm too pretty not to be noticed or not to be touched. So that was some work. And they had to be purified for a whole year. And he said, let the maidens which please the king be queen instead of Vashti. Vashti is said goodbye, and she is gone away, kicked her out. And the thing pleased the king, and he did. So this king he never sought God because he was a pagan king. God said, this is where the world at. But guess what I found out? I said, Lord, he said, this is where the world at. What you bringing me, bro? You know some people act like that? This is where the world at. You act like that, bro? You get mad and then you set things up. And let the maiden which pleased the king be queen instead of Vashti. Take her place. And the thing pleased the king, and he did. So you get your bad advice from people that don't know God. That's where the world at. Now in Shushan, the palace, there was a certain Jew whose name was Mordecai, the son of Jai, the son of Shimei, the son of Kish, a Benjamite. So Mordecai was related to Saul. That's Saul's kinfolk. Who is Saul? The son of Kish. But what was special about Saul? He was the first king of Israel. Did he obey God? He did not. He started out, he was meek when he started out. He was, ooh. That's what Saul over there hiding over there within the stuff. That's what the word said. He over there hiding in the stuff. Tall guy. And I think he came from a rich family. walked tall. Daddy said, go get my asses. They lost. And he had a servant. Said, come and go with me. And the servant said, I heard that there's a guy out there that could tell us where to go when we lost and don't know what we got to do. And he was appointed to go see that guy, that prophet. Saul got to be king, and he said, I ain't going to follow instructions. Now we deal with Mordecai. And sometimes was in that family, passed down to the family, to the family, to the family. Keep it up. I know. I read in the word. Now in Shushan the palace, there was a certain Jew whose name was Mordecai, the son of Jair, the son of Shimei, the son of Kish, a Benjamite, who had been carried away from Jerusalem with the captivity which had been carried away with Jehoiachin, king of Judah, son of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Judah, whom Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, had carried away. So Judah had got so out of place and so defiant until God allowed Nebuchadnezzar to come and go lock him up. Go get him. So Mordecai came over with the folk that was misbehaving. And he brought up Hadassah, that is Esther. Her name is Esther. The name of this book is Esther, but her name is also Hadassah. That is Esther, his uncle's daughter. So that's his cousin. For she had neither father nor mother, and the maid was fair and beautiful. Fair and beautiful. Fair and beautiful. That means that she was light-skinned and beautiful. Who Mordecai, when her father and mother were dead, took for his own daughter. He said, you're my cousin, but I'm going to take care of you. So it came to pass when the king's commandment, when the king's commandment and his decree was heard, they put it on social media. They put it on all the platforms to get the word out. I'm looking for me a pretty young girl, virgin. And his decree was heard, and when many maidens were gathered together in Shushan, the palace, to the custody of Hegai, that Esther was brought also unto the king's house. Look at Sister Esther. Esther, ain't you a Jew? Let's see what happened. I thought God said don't fool with these folk that ain't Jewish. What's up with this? I thought he just got on these folk by marrying these folk that's not Jewish. When many maidens were gathered together unto Shushan the palace, to the custody of Haggai, that Esther was brought also into the king's house, to the custody of Haggai, keeper of the women. Little Sister Esther mixed in with the girls that's the virgin that's pretty. Because the requirement was she had to be pretty, check, she was that. She had to be a virgin, check, she's that. You say she had to be no Jew. Or she had to be a non-Jewish girl. And the maiden pleased him. And she obtained kindness of him, and he speedily gave her things for purification, with such things as belonged to her and 7 maidens, which were meet to be given her, or supposed to be given her, out of the king's house, and he preferred her and her maids unto the best of the house of the women. So little Sister Esther came in and became custody of the man that was over the women department. The man was over the women department. But it was something about that Jewish girl, because all of them were beautiful. Vashti was pretty. But little Sister Esther, being a Jewish taught girl, came in that place and stood out. And I asked the Lord, so far, In the back of my head, I said, what's up with this? He said to me, the truth. I'm telling you the truth. My word is my word, but what you do is the truth. Mordecai, being a Jewish man, told his Jewish cousin, who's now his daughter because her parents are dead, I need you to go and get in line and get in the line of the king. Is God mentioned here? He said, truth is mentioned. Esther had not showed her people, nor her kindred. For Mordecai had charged her that she don't show it. Is Mordecai ashamed of the gospel? You said this the gospel ain't there. Is Mordecai ashamed of the gospel? Is Mordecai acting like Saul? Is Mordecai wrong? I read some book and said this book should not even be in account because there's no mention so far, and I know how the rest are going to roll out of the name God. But God said, guess what's going on? The truth. Let me just ask. So I looked at Mordecai. Mordecai, what's up with you? You know this little girl ain't got no business being in the place trying to be king, trying to get this girl. And you know how God will exact judgment on anybody that bring their daughter or give anybody to a wife that's not lined up with the word. What's up with you, Mordecai? Get what Mordecai. Get what I got when I read that. He said, I didn't mention God, did I? I said, no, you didn't. He said, how long you teach? I said, 33 years. Did you mention God? Have you ever put God on silence because you want to get something done? He said, read me like that. I'm just being honest. Call me wrong if you want to, is what I did. A lot of commentators have a lot of mudslinging about this book. And then some people try to make it like, oh, no, it is what it is. I worked 33 years, and I had to sneak a word in about God. It was more uncomfortable living this lifestyle I ever seen in my life. And when I bolded, they called me to the office. You've been talking about God. I said, I can't. I'm about sick of y'all. I'm telling y'all the truth. I said, everything I do is about God. I said, if I put the right answer on the board, it was from him. I haven't. Jesus said, which one of y'all want to throw a rock at Mordecai? Hit first. God is one of the most silent names not spoken when folk want something. And we look at Mordecai and say, he shouldn't have done that. And then we vote for people that says, keep God out. Let's go back to the truth. I ain't through. Esther had not showed her people nor her kindred, for Mordecai had charged her that she should not show it. Told his little cousin, don't talk about Jesus, get you in trouble. Just get the position. And what is God doing? Look at what we doing. Understanding, is he? Silent, is he? And Mordecai walked every day before the court of the women's house over the women department to know how Esther did and what should become of her. And she done ran her mouth. She done told people. Somebody said Mordecai was a guard because he was at that gate every day. I don't know the word. It didn't say he was no guard. It just said he was out there every day Trying to see about his little cousin. Now daughter. Now when every maid's turn was come to go into the king's Ahasuerus, after that she had been 12 months, because 12 months had to prove you're a virgin. You had no baby in 12 months, you good. According to the manner of the women, for so were the days of their purification accomplished. To know 6 months with oil, they went to the spa for 6 months. They had to go to the spa, bathed in oil of myrrh, and 6 months with sweet odors, and with other things for the purifying of the women. So you got to do all that before you go to the king. Your hair got to be smelling right. Your eyebrows got to be arched. Your toenails got to be right. Your fingernails got to be right. And you got to be a virgin. And you had to be already pretty. Then they're going to put some makeup on you, make you look even more enhanced. You're going before the king. Then thus came every maiden unto the king. The king said, I'm going to sleep with you one night. Well, I'm going to sleep with you. I don't know how many nights, but anyway. This is the world way. Then thus came every maiden unto the king. Whatsoever she desired was given her to go with her out of the house of the women unto the king's house. What you want? Oh, I just want them gold earrings. I just want them, I want to wear this ring. I just want to wear those shoes right there. Oh yeah, I like that part right there. It's a pageant now. In the evening she went, okay, and so all the girls went in there. In the evening, at night, the girl went in on the morrow. Oh, let me read what the word says. In the evening, she went, and on the morrow she returned. And you stayed all night with the king. 400. That's if he wanted 400. Let's see. In the evening she went, and on the morrow she returned. What do you think happened? Into the second house of the women, to the custody of the Shahazgaz, the king's chamberlain, which kept the concubines. If you came out and didn't come back, you a concubine. He said, all right, you ain't mine, you a concubine. Now you mine, but you a concubine. That means can't nobody else have you. You cute. You a virgin. But you the king's. You should do like Esther. I'm out of here. This girl said, if I go sleep with the king said, you mine and can't nobody else touch you. And you become as a widow for the rest of your life. Because if he don't call you in this room, you can't go. Ain't this messed up? She came into the king no more. Except the king delighted in her. If he said, I want you again. And that she would call by name. He said, hey, if I don't call you by name, girl, don't go in there talking about I'm going to call you. Don't call me. This is the same low-down king that told Vashti goodbye. Now, then his advisor told him, do it like this. Where is God? Does God deal with us when we allow ourselves to do things? Can God work it out? Because Mordecai being a Jew, now all Jews ain't straight up now. They're Jews. They know the word because that's how they got over there incarcerated anyway because they weren't doing things right. So Mordecai was like, got to help my people out. And sometimes we are ignorant of the covenant of God because Mordecai didn't go to the second, he didn't go back home. Because there's nowhere in the world I can say that I know that Mordecai is right. Based on what I know that Mordecai did, it just wasn't right. But he had some understanding. He got to do it. You know how some people just doing the best they can with all they know how. And God just patiently looking at them like. Because you want to know else who did this. God had a plan and then they had another plan. And God, those three, the 2.5 tribes, Reuben and Gad and the half tribe of Manasseh. God said, go into the promised land. They said, Moses, let us just stay out here in this land. God let you have that kind of stuff. But the truth is, this is what happened. And since God is silent, I'll just keep reading. He ain't saying nothing. They ain't saying nothing to him. He ain't saying nothing to them. Not right now. Now, when the turn of Esther, now you got to go in there and stay with the king. You go in the evening now. You come back in the morning. And the king said, if I call you back, I'm gonna know your name. If I don't know your name, you're just going to be one of my women. Ain't that crazy? But it's the truth. Now, when the turn of Esther, the daughter of Abihail, the uncle of Mordecai, who had taken her for his daughter, was come to go honor to the king, she required nothing. She said, I don't need anything. He said, what you want to wear? She said, anything you pick me. Anything you pick for me. That man said, you good? Yeah, whatever you say. Now, when it was her turn, and it was time for her to go into the king, she required nothing but what Haggai, the king's chamberlain, the keeper of the women, appointed. And Esther obtained favor in that sight of all of them that looked upon her. She was pretty, and she was quiet, and she was a delight to watch. Even if Mordecai shouldn't have done what he did. But there's something about being around Jesus that even the crumb of what you do look better than the world. She said, whatever you ask me to do, I'll do it. A pretty girl talking like that? Not trying to be seen, not getting mad. So Esther was taken to the king, Ahasuerus, unto his house royal in the 10th month, which is the month of Tebeth, in the 7th year of his reign. Now, I'm thinking of this other guy that God told him to marry, Hosea. Hosea, he had to marry a woman to show Israel a point. But God is still silent, so let God be God and just stay with the word. That's why we have to read it like this. You can't make stuff up. Esther went in there and slept with this man, right? Because they ain't have no big old wedding ceremony. You sleep. Let's see what he said. So Esther was taken unto the king of Ahasuerus unto the house royal in the 10th month. And I told you the other day, right? It was in the 3rd year, right? Which is in the month of Tebeth in the 7th year of his reign. So after he had put Vashti out, we're in the 7th year. So there's 4 years that's gone by. And he finally see another woman finna take that woman's place. And the king loved Esther. Who don't love a woman of God? What's her name? Ruth and Naomi. Naomi had went with her husband back to Moab. Went to Moab. Her husband died. Then Naomi had 2 sons. They died. She shouldn't have been in Moab. But God always do something good. And when she came back, she said, y'all change my name. I'm no name. No, my name no longer Naomi because the Lord has turned his... And then God said, I'll give you a chance to get yourself back together. No, you had no business. You running behind your husband going to Moab. But you did, but you lost your 2 sons and your husband. But you came back as an old woman. And I'm going to work it out. I'm going to make that girl you brought back worth the time. So God knows how to do things when we don't know what to do. Because he knows our heart. Even though he said, I know the intent from the thought. I know what you intend. Believe? They say with the word. So Esther was taken unto the king of Ahasuerus into his house royal in the 10th month, which is in the month of Tebeth, in the 7th year, meaning 4 years later from last chapter. That's why I say, people, as a teacher, read the word. And the king loved Esther above all the women. And she obtained grace and favor in his sight. She's already got everybody she came in contact with. Them folk ain't used to no godly woman in there. Even if she ain't got no business being in there, she was set apart. And she obtained grace and favor in his sight more than all the virgins, so that he set the royal crown upon her head and made her queen instead of Vashti. I'm thinking about somebody who did something wrong, but God worked it out. Jacob stole the birthright. God said, who qualified that even if And he put a crown upon her head and made her queen instead of Esther. I said, you my wife. You ain't gonna be in the concubine. You gonna be queen. Then the king made a great feast unto all his princes and his servants, even Esther's feast. He said he made this feast for Esther. And he made a release to the prophet. He said, this girl done came in here and done made me think again. Saints, believers, let love God. Even when you're wrong, you're better than the world. He said, I ain't going to even charge taxes. This girl done came in here and I ain't going to even charge the people to come to the party that they paid for. He said, this party, coming. I ain't going to charge you. He said, release the provinces. And he what? Gave gifts. Ain't won't do right. He don't low down king. He said, this girl done came in here and whatever she did to me, and he made a release to the government, to the provinces, and y'all back off. What if the United States and nobody got to pay, nobody paying taxes this year? This man said, this woman so good to me, nobody pay taxes. And gave gifts according to the state of the king. This girl made this man do right for a minute. That verse 19. And when the virgins were gathered together the second time, was Esther enough? He got to go do it again. Or, when I read this, it said that what he did was went back and started saying this happened before the king made her queen. But anyway, I'm just going to read it like it said. And when the virgins were gathered together the second time, I can see it being the second time. Say, I got to find me somebody else. I ain't going to put you out. I want you right there. I got to have this the second time. You know I ain't get saved now. But I'll leave that up to the commentators that I read because that was not a set thing. Because all we know is that he did it again. And when the virgins were gathered together the second time, when Mordecai sat in the king's gate, Mordecai said, even though he done crowned her queen, I still keep my eyes on my cousin. Esther had not showed her kindreds nor her people. Still, they ain't opened her mouth. As Mordecai had charged her. For Esther did the commandments of Mordecai, like as when she was brought up with him. She'd been there for a minute. She said, I ain't told nobody. Can God put a word in you about somebody or about something and you hold it? And you know, and God knows you haven't opened your mouth and told it? Or do you do this? I got to tell you something, but you can't tell nobody because the Lord told me not to tell nobody. I'm just saying. In those days, while Mordecai was sat at the king's gate, Mordecai was like, they know me, I'm going to be right here. In those days, while Mordecai sat at the king's gate, two of the king's chamberlains, Bigthan and Teresh, B-I-G, Bigthan, that's his name, B-I-G-T-H-A-N, and Teresh, of those which kept the door, was mad. The Bible said was wroth, and sought to lay hands on the king Ahasuerus. Sought to lay hands on him. You know, Nehemiah said it. He came back and he said he sought to lay hands on some of them folk. That means, I said, now over here, they trying to kill him. The folk made Nehemiah so mad in that chapter, 10th chapter of Nehemiah. He said, I want to lay hands on some of them folk. That means, this right here, he wanted to kill him. Nehemiah said, y'all don't get in and stop all this crazy stuff, lay hands on you. And then at the end of that chapter, he did. He said, I hit some of them folk, pull their beard out, their hair out, and I brought correction to these things. I'm sick of y'all backsliding. Oh, what you trying to say? I'm trying to say that what Nehemiah said. Go read and see. And Mordecai said, did I just hear what I think I heard? And the thing was known to Mordecai, because he heard him talking, who told it to Esther. Esther. Good. Now, this what I want you to tell this. Tell your husband, these folk out here, you got these boys named Big Fan and Therese trying to kill him. Yeah, I'm sure. I heard them. Yep, it's in the same spot that I see you walking by every day. Tell the king they trying to kill him. Bye. And the thing was known to Mordecai, who told it to Esther, the queen. And Esther certified the king thereof in Mordecai's name. He said, baby, my daddy, he called me and told me that you got them two boys, that Big Dan and Therese, trying to kill you. And when inquisition was made of the matter, that means they went and checked it out because it wasn't no need of her going to, I don't want to tell you who said it, but you know how we do. No, that ain't how God do it. Hey, what happened? Mordecai told me that's what you got to do when it's justifiable and it can be proven. That Big Dad and Therese trying to kill you. Yeah, it has a name. You can't go in and judge them. I don't really want to say nothing because I don't want to get nobody in trouble. Get out of my court before I lock you up. Don't come telling me with somebody. No, who told you? That's what real people do. Who told you? Tell you what? Well, I don't want to get out. No, what then you need to keep that to yourself. The queen said, my cousin, which you could knock his head off, told me that Big Dan and Therese trying to kill you. Won't lay their hands on you. Baby. And he said, all right. And when inquisition was made of the matter, it was found out. Therefore, they were both hanged on a tree. I know my cousin don't be lying, baby. Therefore, they were both hanged on a tree, and it was written in the book of the Chronicles before the king. The king said, write it down. Yeah, I killed him, trying to kill me. My wife told me more. Who? Mordecai. Mordecai told you that. What's his name? Big Dan and Therese. Call it Big Dan, Therese. You trying to kill me? Boy, you lying. You trying to kill me? Well, he tried to. Now he was. You know how we do. Anyway, that's the end of chapter 2. What's religious about this? And God is like this, all doing this chapter like this. All right. In order to know what happened, you got to keep going. The story is just like the best movie I ever seen. We got to get in chapter 3. That's all I got to say, y'all. Love y'all. Got to go bye.